Hello, chat. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How we doing? Hello. I did not mean to click that. I just screwed up my entire little screen over here. Hello. How are we? I want to cover up the taskbar. Nah, I want desktop capture. There we go. Hello, how are we? Chat, I saw this game. It's called Federal Reserve Simulator. I saw it on, I think it was Instagram. Someone was going on about it. And it looks like a game that someone just vibe coded. So I am very, very interested in what it's like. I mean, it could be absolutely terrible, but given my background, I thought I'd give it a whirl. And we'll see how clunky it is. I briefly looked at the how to play section. You got to do the standard type of thing that I would expect, right? We got to keep within our let me know if like music's too loud or if you guys don't want music. We got to keep it within our typical I'm actually going to turn music down a little bit here. The typical kind of two mandate: keep inflation near 2%, keep unemployment at neutral rate or at least full unemployment, which I guess this game is calling 4%. Maintain steady GDP growth. That's, I mean, meh. Avoid recessions and overheating. Build Fed credibility. That's where me being the great central banker that I am, the best that's ever done it, will be, that's the big thing. Fed funds rates, our tools, our main tools. Of course, we can raise and lower the Fed funds rates. Short-term interest rate affects our lag by 4 quarters, so plan ahead. That always gets to central bankers. Reserve requirements. Set the percentage of deposits banks must hold in reserve. While reserves, bank lend more, expands money supply, stimulates growth, and the reverse is possible. Blunt instrument changes cause immediate banking disruption. Okay. After 1994, sweep accounts reduce effectiveness. Okay. Replaced by QE in 2008. So I guess we're going to be playing through. I saw there was the historical start, but I guess new game, you can pick where you want to start. Okay. Or I guess you can do historical start where, oh shit. Where you can start as a select Fed chairperson. Yellen, Bernanke, Greenspan, Volcker, and Powell. Okay. That's just simple stuff. I want to keep looking at the how to play stuff. Quantitative easing and tightening. Buy assets, inject money to the economy. Yep. Quantitative tightening is the opposite. Public forecasts. Announce your expectations for the economy. If you hit your target, credibility increases. Your tools become more effective. If you miss your target, credibility decreases. High credibility means markets react more to your answers and your announcements, I presume. If you lose, inflation exceeds 25%. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Stock market collapses. Okay, so these are all of our lose scenarios, how we lose. Tips for success. Remember the lag. Can I get the Discord thing off of here? How do I go and do that? Game overlay, I want that off. There we go. Did not need that. It is distracting me as I'm going down the list. Remember the lag. Rate change take up to 4 quarters. We got that. Chat, remember we got 4 quarters for things to change. Watch for historical events. They're coming whether you are ready for it or not. Build credibility. Makes everything easier. Got that. Don't overreact. Small adjustments are often better than large swings. That means we're going to have to anticipate things. Reserve requirements are powerful but disruptive. Move in small increments. QEQT unlocked in 2008. So, I guess the question is, what mode are we going to go and do? Are we going to go and see if we're better or worse than... Are we going to start in our modern era? Or are we going to go and just start from the start? Like start from a historical event? I guess that's the question. We could start with Volker, or we can start like super easy with Greenspan. Or these scenarios that you can play. Choose a 30-year window to guide America's monetary policy. Each presents unique challenges, or just a start game where we start the golden age. Got about a loss for which avenue we go down. Maybe we just try the golden age to go to your banks, or maybe we do war and recovery. Oh, it was always selected on that. I'm a moron. SNL Crisis, Black Monday. Key events, production, post-war. You know what? Let's start off easy. Let's do war and recovery. Oh, it's this simple. 1%. Okay, Fed funds are at 1%. Unemployment's at 14%. Fed credibility is at 15%. Okay. That's just the UI scale. Okay. We'll keep it at 100%. That looks decent. And we're in Q1. GDP is growing at 2.4%, 2.5%. Inflation's at 1. We want target to be at 2. Unemployment is at 14.6%. Neutral rate is 4. Discount rate is 1.5. With reserve requirements at 10%. We don't have inflation, and our interest rates are at 1%. So I think we can set this to 11%. Free up some capital. I don't know, maybe in 6 quarters? We set that. Okay, welcome, Chairman. The economy awaits. I already... That's right. That's how much banks adjusting balance sheets expect market volatility. Reserve requirements lowered it to 11%. Okay, welcome, Chairman. The economy awaits my guidance. I think we hit 2% in 6 quarters. Market just declined. What's my advisory panel? Okay. I should have probably done that beforehand. Inflation 1%. Cut 50 bips. Bank reserve special. Lower reserves. Already did that. My supply is stable. Disruption risk. Use with caution. I already decreased our reserve requirements by 1%. Economic strategy director. Primary objective. Unemployment reduction. Yes, we know that. So they say to cut funds by 50 bips. Sure, that'll kind of go with us. Okay. Oh, I've already forecast. So now we gotta wait. Now we gotta go to a corner. Go to a quarter. Okay, market went up. Unemployment's already dropped. Inflation's gone up a bit. Credibility now plus 2%. Signs of recovery. The labor market is slowly healing. Lower rates are stimulating. Economic activity growth is picking up. Okay, because we already cut 25 bips. Let's see what the advisory panel has to say. If unemployment and inflation contained. Let's put these at 10.5. Let's stimulate the money supply a little bit more. We'll do another cut. Oh, Jesus. We already cut once. Now we're saying we're approaching the zero lower bound. That's right, because we were at 50 bips. Okay. Whoops. Actually, let's revert back. All right, next quarter. Unemployment dropped again. Inflation is still below target. Good. Oh. I thought this is open market operations. Yeah, we should bump that back up to 13%. Never mind. We're back to 10.5. Credibility plus 1%. Let's see it. Lower reserves. Discount rate. Maybe we move that. Maybe we move that down a touch. Fuck, unemployment rate just went down a ton, like 2%. Inflation's still not really an issue. Unemployment dropped to 1.9%. GDP plus 2.2% over the quarter. So what the advisory panel has to say? Nothing yet. Let's go to our, we did say at Q1 by Q6 would be at our inflation target, but we have not reached that at all. Inflation increased just a tick, it says. Unemployment dropped another 1.6%. We're still at 8%. Let's see what the advisory panel has to say. Policy works in a lag. We are maintaining our credibility. Inflation ticked up a bit with our GDP increasing. Okay. Okay, we're nearing 1.6%. I think we can set the reserve requirements back to 11% because we're at 4.6%. I think we can raise the discount rate. I'm thinking the discount rate maybe we can raise to next quarter. Says hold steady, hold, maintain current spread on the discount rate. Okay. Bank reserve specialist, reserve requirements, hold steady. Whoops, I removed those. Maintain stability, maintains credibility. Okay. Unemployment at 2.9%. Oh, shit. Credibility -9 because I said inflation would be higher. Maybe in 4Qs we expect it to be at Fed funds. Hold steady, hold steady, hold steady. Treasury's lobbied successfully to keep the cost of borrowing low during the Second World War. Oh, yes, that is us. Pearl Harbor. Okay. I completely forgot that. 1942. Completely forgot what we were doing. Okay, we're at crisis. Discount rate. The bankers have that. Unemployment's at 1%. Inflation's at 1.7%. We're gonna have a ton of inflation. But everyone's saying hold steady. We've got an active crisis. Okay. Inflation's at 1.9%. Fed funds is at 0.5%. Maybe we should discount rate's pegged at 1%. We can't change that. Got the active crisis. Yes, I know that. We just announced our forecast that in 4 quarters will be at 2%. Okay, inflation is now above target. Still want us to hold Fed funds rate. My supply is stable. I don't know. I may raise rates next quarter. 2.6%. We're going to have to start raising rates here, boys. Market's not going to like this, but... You got to keep that inflation low. Crisis, wartime. Industries helped the U.S. economy by lowering unemployment during World War II. Yes, I know we're at 1%, but I've already, I just raised rates and everyone's on my ass about it. Target's 2%. We're at 3.2% inflation, boys. That's why I bumped up rates. Everyone's telling me to rate. Now we're going and raising. Now it wants me to raise 25 bips. I raised that last quarter. My credibility fell. All right, we're at 1%, boys. Let's see what happens. Q3 1943. Inflation's dropping. There we go. Stress normal. Okay. What does it say about my open market operations? Reserve requirements. Reserve requirements are locked, right? Yeah, they're locked at the moment. Our two back-to-back rate hikes have lowered inflation a decent amount. Inflation lowered 0.3% since last quarter. Okay, inflation raised a little bit. Everyone's still raised. They want me to keep raising. Okay. We'll raise to 1.25%. Open market ops. I don't know, 10%? I may have to go back and see what they said. There we go. Open market operations. I know that. They are powerful but can cause banking disruptions. Move in small increments to minimize chaos. Okay. They're okay. What's our advisory panel say? Raise another 25 bips. Let's go and say it'll be 2.5% in 4 quarters, so we get a year. And we're going to raise interest rates. Okay. Credibility spiked. Tariff policy is cooling demand and inflation is responding. Everyone says hold. Hold steady, hold steady. Use with caution. Banking balance sheets elevated. Let's tweak this. Let's make this 0.5%. Set. True. That's contradictory. We'll want expansionary. We're still fine. We promised 2.5% inflation in 2 quarters. We promised that. That's what our expectations were. Credibility is at 5.4%. Market's up 11.5%. All right, let's say raise. It's pesky inflation. If I open my 5% reserve, if I raise my reserve requirements. Tariff policy is cooling demand because we raised interest rates yet again. We're a little bit off our target. We have 1 more quarter. Let's see if raising our open market ops to 11%. We'll go in and do that slight adjustment that we need here to thread the needle. Shit. All right, we'll do a combo of lowering that and increasing interest rates. Credibility, that's 65%. policy pipeline. One rate change is still working. I like that it has this right here. I know it's probably hard to see because it's right on my face cam. Okay, we'll change that. Actually, no, we won't. I'll just read it. I'll just read our news and events. Or you know what? I'll put myself. Oopsie daisies. Chat will be over here. And I'll be down here. And then I'll move the music as well. Actually, we'll just get rid of now playing. There we go. That looks better for everybody, yeah? I'm still going to read these news events a lot. I still don't think that you can easily see them that well, even when I'm looking at like the stream in like full screen. I'm gonna move myself up here. Nope. Maybe. Nope. All right, let's see what the next quarter has for us, and let's check with our advisory panel. They want us to raise 25 bips. Two rate changes still working through the economy. I'm gonna hold off on another rate hike because our rate hikes are still going to come through. There we go. And we still have two policy changes that are working their way through. So we lowered inflation. Gonna announce, since we have another one still working through the pipes, gonna announce that that we expect the Fed funds rate to be 2.5. Oh, no. 2.25%. That's the Fed funds rate. I thought I was declaring what I thought growth was going to be. Okay. Well, I guess I have to raise interest rates then. Okay, now I get how the credibility thing works. Two rate changes still in the pipes. Hold. GDP growth, we're knocking it out of the park because we're in a war. We still got one still in the pipes. I just want to see what everyone's saying. Raise. Let's let our target sit here for a sec. They want to raise. Let's see what next quarter has for us. Shit. Inflation's still bumping up a little bit. Unemployment's starting to rise because everyone's coming back. Let's up reserve requirements to 11%. And see what next quarter has for us. Okay. Unemployment's rising. Inflation's rising slowly. I think we do raise by 25 bips. Okay, unemployment's starting to rise. I do think there's gonna be higher unemployment in fourth quarters. All right. Inflation's kind of becoming sticky. I'll raise. Yeah, that's fine if unemployment is rising a little bit. I mean, we need to fight inflation more. We called for higher unemployment too. So our credibility is high. What does our advisory panel say? Another raise. Policy announcement. Borrowing rates free now that the government is transitioning to post-war. Okay. So we can now raise the borrowing rate. That'll help us with inflation. So we're gonna raise the discount rate by a full 50 basis points and see how that goes. Raise the spread. We'll raise another 50 basis points. We'll still keep the Fed funds where it's at, but we're going to continue to raise the discount rate. Okay. Full 75 bips. Unemployment's starting to tick up, though. No, it didn't. We'll do a target. We'll do a combination here. Okay, current spread is appropriate, but we want rates probably closer to 3.5%. Yeah. Money supply's fine. Unemployment's still fine. One rate change still working through the economy. What's the advisory board say? Rate, continue to raise. Let's let that thing run through the economy. We're running it a little bit hot, even though unemployment's slowly raising. Post-war expansion. What lies ahead? America stands at the world's dominant economic power. With Europe and Japan in ruins, American manufacturing faces virtually no competition, suburban growth, baby boom, and pent-up consumer demand promise a decade of unprecedented prosperity. The interstate highway system will reshape the nation. Your challenge: the Federal Reserve is newly independent. The 1951 Treasury Fed Accord will free you from wartime rate pegs, giving you real control over monetary policy for the first time. Your challenge: maintain booming economy without the tools or experience of modern central banking. Confidence is high, perhaps too high. Economists believe the business cycle has been conquered and careful policy can sustain perpetual growth, but complacency breeds risk. Watch for inflation creeping as spending accelerates, and don't let the good times lull you into passive. You know what I'm saying. What's the good old advisory board telling us? Raise by 25 and maintain spread. Hold steady for our reserve requirements. So that means we'll raise and we'll set the discount rate a little bit higher. Make it a clean 1%. Oh, look at that. Unemployment just went down. But we still have, it still says policy pipeline, 2 rate changes still working through. Okay, inflation is starting to come down. That way that's just primed. 3% inflation, all right. But unemployment still flat. GDP at 3.7%. They're still cranking out. Hold, maintain current spread. Reserve requirement policy. Hold steady. Okay, seems like we're doing a decent job. Credibility is a little bit too high. Let's raise. Let's see if inflation can come back down. I like it a little bit more towards 3%. Okay. We may need to hike. So raising both by 25 bips. Unemployment comes down and inflation rises a little bit. Inflation keeps accelerating. Okay. Stream unstable. What? Because I don't see any issues with YouTube. Oh, and we're back. Okay, don't know what that was. My ISP is throttling me or something. All right. Let's be aggressive in raising, and let's be aggressive in cutting. I think maybe we do another couple hikes. Two rate hikes are still in the pipeline. So, we do have to take our time here. We were aggressive hiking, and we're going to be aggressive for cutting. Inflation back down to 2.9%. We may risk the fact that we went too far too fast. We may be risking that. Okay. What I may do here is cut 25 bips but maintain the discount rate. Just to see what happens. Okay. Oh, I raised. Whoopsies. Well, let's do 50 points of cuts. We're at 2%. Okay, we've hit our target. We're pretty much at neutral employment. Let's cut by 25 bips and see how that treats us. Higher inflation. Okay. And we still have another rate cut that's coming in. Okay. Hold policy steady, hold policy steady. Okay, we're in the mid-1950s now, chat. We've got pretty much everything right where we want it to be. .5% spread here. Everyone says to maintain and hold. Okay, we're gonna chill in here. Good GDP growth. Inflation's coming down. Inflation's coming down. I think we can hold. Unemployment ticked up a slight bit. GDP still growing at 5%. Inflation at 2%. I like it. We're still chilling. Still chilling. Unemployment's just been bouncing around in between 4.4 and 4.5. Inflation creeping back down. Still strong growth. Inflation up a tick. Still strong growth. Okay, we're chilling. Let's just keep passing some time here. Okay, still chilling. Enter the 1960s, the Great Society. Oh God, here comes Johnson and Kennedy. Kennedy's New Frontier and Johnson's Great Society will unleash massive government spending and social programs. Oh Jesus. and Vietnam War simultaneously. The famous guns and butter dilemma. Unemployment will be pushed below 4%, but inflation pressures are building beneath the surface. Okay. Fed funds, I think, are going to probably have to go up. You face intense pressure to keep rates low and accommodate the government spending. The Phillips curve trade-off, of course. Classic conundrum. Buying lower unemployment with slightly higher inflations will tempt policymakers. Your challenge. Resist subordinating monetary policy to fiscal ambitions, of course. We can lower the discount rate if need to. Risk watch. Economy looks strong, but danger lurks ahead. Inflation that seems manageable now can spiral if left unchecked. Watch for rising policies as government deficits mount. Decision you make this decade will determine whether the 1970s will be stability or crisis. Okay. Let's see what the advisory panel has to say. Hold, 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 hold. We're doing the right thing, it says. Okay. Just because I'm going to raise rates just because I want to tighten the spread on the discount to Fed funds rate. Inflation at 1.9%. Okay. I could also lower the discount rate. Inflation at 1.8%, targets 2%. Unemployment's slowly going higher. Unemployment flat, inflation flat, GDP 4%. It's gone down quarter over quarter. You know what? Let's increase reserves a little bit. I might raise reserves a little bit again to 12%. Commodity growth is at 5.5%. Reserve requirements are a blunt risk. Even small changes can force banks to immediately restructure balance sheets, calling in loans or scrambling for cash. They're talking about the discount Fed funds rate, I'm pretty sure, but let's just bump this up to 12. Let's see how the market takes that. Fine. Inflation at 1.6%. Okay. We can have that held. We can hold that there. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with holding that where it's at. We can hold it there. I want to start raising the open market ops just because we can lower them really easily. Inflation is starting to really come down, though. Probably because of my open market operations. Is there a way to save and for me to come back to this? Save game, yes, okay. I don't want to go back to the how to play here. Raise reserves, bank spend less, contract some money supply. Yep. Okay. I thought that's what I was doing. Inflation's starting to pick up a little bit. Did these change colors? 1962, 1965 is the big thing that we gotta be concerned about. Unemployment is slowly rising. But within the bounds that I want it to be. Again, I think we're still fine. Still fine. Unemployment's been like inflation's been bouncing up and down. Unemployment, kind of the same thing. GDP, we're starting to lose a little bit of traction. This is like right when the Vietnam War is starting, so. If in the modern era, do I get a Bloomberg terminal right here? Inflation popped up, has been spiking a little bit. We're still good. Inflation and unemployment's coming down. We're still fine, chat. I don't like that we're nearing less than 3% growth, though. Maybe we lower the reserve requirements. Let's lower our reserve requirements. See if we can't keep. Yeah, but our unintended consequence was that inflation went up a bit. I'm doing it more for GDP than anything else to lower our reserve requirements. So far, chat, we haven't had nothing's been too terrible. Let's Knock on some wood here. Inflation at 2.1%. Unemployment's gone down. We're trying to get the Phillips curve effect. Inflation continuing to start rising. And it continues to rise. Let's bring back our reserve requirements up a little bit. We may have the Fed funds rates nearing 5%. Everyone's still saying steady as she goes. I want to keep my eye on that inflation. 4% GDP growth with 2.2% inflation. We're crushing it. Inflation creeped up a little bit. Unemployment creeped down. That's fine. That's the Phillips curve effect. Low unemployment rate increases inflation. I don't know if you learned that in Econ 101 or not. GDP continues to expand. Unemployment rate falls. Inflation up a bit. This is steady as she goes. Entering the 1970s. Oh shit, chat. A gathering start. We actually managed the 1960s pretty well. A storm is gathering. Oil shocks from OPEC embargoes, 1973 and 1979. Okay, maybe we should start raising rates ahead of time. The collapse of Bretton Woods system and years of accumulated loose monetary policy will produce the worst on both ends: high inflation and high employment. Stagflation rules. Your challenge: will the Fed's be most difficult decade? Stop-go policies, tightening until recession hits, then loosen again. Will only make expectations worse. Your credibility is on the line. By decade's end, inflation could reach 13% and the dollar may be in free fall. Keywords to watch. Comfortable trade-offs of the 1960s are over. Stagflation will shatter the belief that you can simultaneously choose between inflation and unemployment. I kind of didn't do that. Watch for energy crisis, collapsing confidence, and calls for wage and price controls. Bold action will be needed before the decade ends. All right. We may start raising our open market operations here in a little bit, but I'm going to grab some tea. Okay. Just knowing that we're going to have... I want to start raising our open the amount on reserves, just that way we can lower them in the future. Whoa, okay. Let's raise again. Not 100, 126%. That'd be kind of crazy. Okay, inflation's already starting to rise past our stated target. I am going to get ahead of the game and we're going to raise both rates, the discount rate and the Fed funds rate, by 0.25%. That, of course, will operate with a lag. 4 quarters. So Q3 1971 is what we're targeting. Term complete. Congratulations, you completed the 30-year term. Your record peak unemployment 14.6%. Yeah, but we fucking got that down. How history actually played out. inflation rate versus yours. Actual Fed, your policy? Okay. Okay, chat. Your scale measures how close you kept to 2% and 4%, which with bonuses for GDP growth. Fed credibility, 100 equals perfect. Final score, what is that, 16K? Okay, look. My Fed funds rates versus the others. It's because my inflation rate was so much lower. That's a reason right there. I guess let's go do a different scenario then. I mean, look at their inflation. My inflation was fantastic. Look at that. Nice and smooth. Fed funds rates kept it smooth. Unemployment rate, we kept really close to target. GDP was higher than normal. Okay. And that was the easy one, too. I don't know. Should we try? Oh, shit. We can go do a historical start. I'm in between Greenspan and Yellen for which one to go and do here. Let's try Yellen. Terrible, bad picture of Janet Yellen there. She deserves better. She definitely deserves better there. How could they do her dirty like that? How could they do her dirty like that? The challenge: inherent in economies still recovering from the Great Recession, with unemployment elevated and inflation persistently below the 2% target. The response: gradually normalize monetary policy, carefully raising rates while maintaining clear forward guidance, emphasize labor market recovery and maximum output. The legacy: successfully navigate the Fed's exit from crisis-era policies without triggering market turmoil. Higher stakes, tighter scoring, greater glory. Oh God, we're not doing prestige mode. Later became the first woman Treasury Secretary. I lived through this. I remember all the people on finance Twitter going and doing this, talking about like how I could do better. So I guess I can put that to the test. This is my economic awakening, I guess. This is when I started actually following markets and economics and shit. Okay. Let's try it out, shall we? Banks have developed software that automatically sweeps customers' funds out of checking accounts, which are subject to reserve requirements, into savings accounts, which are not. At the end of each business day, the funds are swept back the next morning before customer notices. The results: banks can report fewer, lower reservable deposits than they actually hold. Okay, that's a challenge. Why it matters: reserve requirements were one of the Fed's original tools for controlling bank lending, as we know. By sweeping funds overnight, banks effectively circumvent the requirers without technically violating any rules. Your reserve requirement changes will significantly reduce impact on the real economy as banks simply route around them. Gameplay impact: reserve requirements effectiveness is now reduced by 25%. Okay. This will continue to decline as more banks adopt sweep technology. Interest rate policy is becoming your primary lever. By the late 2000s and U2, quantitative easing will emerge to fill the gap. Historical note: by 2008, sweep accounts have reduced required reserves from over 60 billion to under 10 billion. Okay. Oh, I do get a Bloomberg terminal. Take your helm, become the first woman Fed chair. Unemployment is fragile. Balance sheet. Hold. Federal Reserve rates are at 0.25%. Discount rate is at 0.75%. The board says to all hold except for Brainerd and Turillo. $30 billion per quarter for quantitative tightening. I think we're going to be able to do that. Let's start getting this balance sheet down. Sorry, chat. All right. Let's see what we can go and do here. FOMC policy update: with interest rates at zero lower bound, conventional policy is exhausted. The FOMC has authorized quantitative easing purchases. Yes, but I'm already tightening it. I can give a speech. Fed Chair delivers speech reassuring about economic outlook. Credibility +5. Okay. Gradual QT. No, I'm maintaining QT. Let's bump up our QT to 40 billion. Okay, unemployment continues to fall. Inflation is steady. Everyone says hold. No urgent forecast, normal conditions. No stress in the market. Unemployment rate continues to drop. Everyone says to hold. We'll bump up our QT a little bit here. Whoa, I know I want 45, not. And GDP is at 0.5%. Hold, maintain current spread. Oil price collapse. Oil prices crashed to $50 a barrel. Energy sector layoffs mount. Inflation falls towards 0. Hold. Advisory panel. Gradual QT. We're doing QT. We're doing it at 50 billion a quarter. Falling oil prices is mixed blessing. Watch for deflationary pressure. Oh, I thought I hit next quarter. Oil prices are still down, which means inflation's still down, but we're going to go and hike up QT to 60 billion a quarter. China slow down fears. China devalues yuan. Global markets tumble on fears of Chinese hard landing. The Fed delays its rate hike. I wasn't planning on hiking rates. Let's see what the Board of Governors says. So our advisory panel says, hold, maintain current spread, small QE program. Fuck that. Gradual QT. We're still doing that. Let's cut this down to 40 then. Okay. Inflation continues to decline, so there's unemployment. But we are slowly. We are doing the balance sheet. We can actually tick that up a bit, I think. Inflation did nothing. Unemployment still there. Let's ramp. We can ramp this back up to 50. Brexit. Oh shit. Okay, continue increase QT. Financial stress is 7 out of 10. You have more flexibility for policy adjustments. 70 billion it is. Presidential social media pressure. Ah, yes. $70 billion? Fuck it. We go 100. We'll continue to raise our QT program. I keep thinking it's next quarter. I'm thinking maybe if I lower the discount rate, maybe I can spare some inflation. We're also raising this to 150. I don't know, maybe we cut the discount rate. That didn't do what I thought it was going to do. Here's what we're going to go and do. We're going to do high QT. And we're going to raise both by 25 bips. Oh, how is the financial conditions are fine. Oh. Janet Yellen raised them a lot higher than I did. Also had inflation way further below the 2% target. Final score is not as good as my other score. When did she raise rates? I don't know, maybe we try that again and we just raise from the beginning and do higher QT. We're going to start off at 50 billion. Yeah, let's get like a lot more aggressive with QT. And then let's raise our benchmark interest rates. Inflation at 1.7%. Yeah, let's bump this up to 250. Advisory board, hold, maintain current spread, not available, graduate QT. Financial stress is 5 of 10. Board consensus, hold, hold, hold. Got a rate hike. We're going to hold rates steady, and we're going to bring QT down. How about we start buying? Oh, I can't do that anymore. Okay. We'll put QT to 0. And raise rates. Oh, I can't do any QT, so we'll just leave that there, and we'll let well, let's raise rates again. And we'll restart some QT. We'll start at 100 bill. And I mean, we got great GDP. Inflation's holding steady. We'll eliminate this. Janet Yellen and I ended up being pretty close there, but she got inflation up. Ending employment worse, better. I ended up with a lower score. Okay. Oh, you can even make your own stuff. That's dope. That's a hard one to go and get right, though. I don't know, chat, which one we should go and do here. Janet Yellen, you only get like a set amount of quarters. That's what sucks. I think my first game was better than the other game, but I didn't like raise rates as aggressively. I brought down the balance sheet. I think this is what we do. I think we end the stream now. I know it's really short, but I wanted to check this game out, and we got to check it out. We got to feel for it. I think I like it, and I think we'll start mixing this in. Like, I think Sunday. We can go and like have like go and do like econ night Sundays or something like that, where we go and play this. I feel like that would be a good idea. And like sometimes throughout the week, like we'll do like a little 2.5 hour stream, because I want to play some of these. Like Greenspan, I think will be the next one we try, and Powell. What is this? Is that a rating next to my? What is this? What's like the? I do historic site. Does that mean like I got a B overall, not an A? Or I beaten it? And we can try like some of these more in-depth ones. We can do like some of the longer historical start ones, because I know when we did the new game and we did like the Great War and Recovery, I mean that took a decent amount of time. The Janet Yellen one didn't, because it's so short. But we can try a whole bunch more of these. I think this is gonna be a fun game to have in the rotation. Like we can do like some Sunday night streams with it, or like go from like Apex to it. Because we're gonna have like some long streams this weekend with Apex on Friday, then Apex and Arc on Sunday. So chat, thanks for sticking around and hanging out and trying this game. It's not my usual thing, so thank you.